We had to be consistent with that. This is not about the program, this is about people. Hey, top of the morning to you. I'm Michael. Grandkids call me Roo. Thanks for being on the show this morning. It's Tuesday morning. It's some day in March. I don't know what the day is. It's the 22nd. It's the 22nd. I should remember that because I got a busy day, busy evening. Busy as in that 8 or 10 folks are coming over for dinner, and so got to get the grill on later, but they're getting ready to walk through a book with us all about Israel. And, someday the band's going to lift. I have the hope that it will, and I'm going to find my way and save my nickels and take some folks to Israel just to walk on the dirt over there. We haven't been in many, many years, so that's what all that's about. So I've got a busy day, got some work here, but thanks for being on the show. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to paint a little bit right off the bat, and then I have this is not different. I have a mess piled up on this desk every day, but it's a creative desk, and so I'm going to get kicked off to say hello to some of you, then I'm going to paint a little something, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to tell you about Tuesdays, because this Tuesday is a special Tuesday because, well, it's the last Tuesday of me doing this just right here on Live 857, because I'm going to go being live through Patreon. I'm going to be doing a deep dive class called the Roo Run once a month right here on this. It's going to be it'll link you through YouTube if you're part of Patreon. And it'll be an unlisted link on the YouTube, and then once a week I'll be jumping on those other Tuesdays, and as we journal through Good News Roo. And so there's several things coming up. All that information is on a page that I'll post for you here again in a little bit. But we're going to do Mondays, going to do Saturdays for sure. Got a busy schedule coming in this spring, which is great for me. It's great for the country, I hope. Great for you guys as, we're watching what's going on with COVID, and we're always going to have to deal with something, folks. That doesn't stop you from being an artist, thinking like an artist, and having some hope. So top of the morning to you. Beverly Schmidt, good morning to you all the way from Greenville, South Carolina. Chris Whitaker, keep on hammering it, girl. You got great art, and I hope you're not offended that I said girl. Find that as I love it when they say, hey, look at you, boy. I think, yeah, I'm still young, all right? Linda Schleitning, thanks for being on the show. Nancy Catlett, Linda Linhart, Carol Monday, Linda Lawless, Jean-Paul Schubert, JP. Wow, fun seeing your face on this show. There's the man right there who tour guided Carol and I all over France. And because he grew up there, has such you wouldn't know it he's living in the South right now in Charlotte. And so when we have coffee together, I don't hear anything in his accent, but I'll tell you this, when he's in France, he gets into that guttural, oh, yeah, you sound like you're mad at each other. I just wanted a croissant. I'm going like, I don't know what he's going. People responded, whoa, your accent is phenomenal, and he's going, well, I used to live here. And so, John Paul, I pray your family's well, and it's always fun to hang out with you, my friend. He's a creative thinker, and he's always got something going on. Valerie, thanks for being on the show this morning. Mary Jones, Karen Binder, Crispy Sunny, I don't know where you are, but let's pay. Janice Scott, welcome. Jean Anthalzer, Denise Albright, Karen Bender. Did I see Steve? I saw Nancy. I didn't see Steve yet. I usually see the two of them close together. Elaine Barnett, thanks for being on the show. And Catherine Brousseau, thank you. Jason Nichols, whoa, tuning in during, must have a pre-prep period from all the way from New Jersey in the architectural class. Jason had a conversation with a young man the other morning at coffee. He and his wife met with them just on a little creative coffee catch-up time. One of my favorite little coffee shops near here is called Brakeman's, and I go over there quite often because I have several of my little paintings hanging on the wall and they disappear. So far, I'm setting the record by having the most paintings stolen from Brakeman's, which is kind of a fun little... People say, I like that painting. I'll just put it in my bag, and so it's kind of fun. So Jason, he's an architect, and I was asking him if he ever painted, and he said, no, not really. I don't do that. And I was going like, dude, you've got all the structure there, but he wants to. So, all right, Jacqueline Goodrich, thanks for being on the show, and Ann Westra. Pat Brooks, always a blessing. Pat, thanks for getting my run-on ragtag email poet bard note yesterday, so that was kind of fun. Fern Skelly, happy day to you. Thanks for your note. Becca Vacca, V-A-C-C-A, love it. Julie, welcome to the show. Glad you're on today. Hope Bob's doing well. Bob wears his jersey every day, 33. Terry Tardy from Coos Bay. Are you from Coos Bay, Oregon? Terry Tardy Turquoise, how could you forget? Michelle Mace, thanks for being on the show. Trish Brown, Dana Smith. All right, I'm ripping through this. I'm going to jump on. Becky Bailey, did I see you go up? From Boona, is it Boona, Texas? Kay Groff? Kay, I don't remember mentioning your name many times, but thank you for being on the show. Glad you found Roodoodles. Maybe I just found you. Rick Self says, hey, June. So there you go. Andy Bean, thanks for being on the show. Andy, of course, you see her name is Andy Faglioli, F-A-G-G-I-O-L-I, and I could never pronounce it. She just said it means bean, just say bean, and so it's Andy Bean to me. It makes it great. Melita Phillips, there's Steve Catlett, morning on the show. Marion Jones, I live in the great state of New Jersey, tomatoes and mosquitoes. Well, there you go. All right, so let's move along. Brenda Tucker, thanks for being on the show. And Kyle Dixon from the Funny Farm. Dude, you are wired funny. I tell you, when God made you, he made your wiring funny, and I love it. Thank you for being who you are. Let's paint something. Here's what the desk looks like today. There's a picture. All right, got a little tea. I'm sipping Thai food tea today. It's they're not a sponsor of the show yet. Sorry. Maybe they won't be. Maybe they won't be after that sip. Oh, that's funny. I could have hit the mute button like in those fancy radio stations, but it would have. All right. You didn't know I had a mute button, do you? Yeah. Why do you want a mute button if you're doing a show? I just took a sip of that and took a breath at the same time, and that's how people drowned at their desk, I think. Hey, here's a little painting for you this morning. I had a couple crazy things that happened yesterday. I had to order some ink, and I got it shipped in, and they sent me a box. They were supposed to send me 2 boxes of Black Pilot ink. These are for my my Kakuno pens. And they sent me a black and a blue. And I'm not going to return it. I just put one in there and see what happens. And Jason, I know you do this all the time. You have different colored inks in your pens. And I'm going like, a man with 2 watches doesn't know what time it is. So now I have these 2 identical pens. One has blue, one has black. So it'll be a surprise to see what happens today. But I want to just wake my colors up a little bit here this morning. These are American Journey colors. I've got a little bit of a spritzer bottle. So I made this bold statement. I'm just going to give them a little dusting like this so you can see what I'm doing. I'm over here. I didn't want to do it right over the paper. Just spraying a little bit of water in there just to wake these pants up. I usually say, hello, wake up. And so it just, because I know I'm going to have a little wetter painting this morning. And so especially when I'm working with bamboo brushes, I don't want to just jam the brush down in the tray. I want to roll it in there a little bit and load the brush up, mostly heel and toe. So trying to keep these brushes clean. I try to keep them flat. They've got a little loop on the back that you're supposed to hang up. Seriously, do you know how long that would take me? I'm the guy who would never outline his workbench in the picture of the right wrench and then hang that wrench back in that place. Really? I don't have that kind of time. Life is way too short to put the right wrench back in the right trace. This is not, the wrench didn't die. This is not a crime scene. And so I just don't do and if you do, I hope you're type A and hope you keep all your brushes pristine. Mine just go in a big old box, or I'll go, right there are all my wrenches. They're on that workbench. And I can see a 5/8 from a 3/4 or even a 3/8. So I can pick them up and put it on the nut. So that's just how I am. My desk is that way. So my jar has brushes. These are nylon. Then there's this other flat stack over here of, when I do store my Yasutoma brushes, I store them in a little canvas piece like this. It's like so. There's your part upside down. So I just slide them right in these little pieces and then wrap them up flat. And that's how I keep those things stored. If I put them into a jar like this, because they have loose hair on them, they tend to want to fan out a little more, and I like to keep these brushes a little pristine. The brushes were originally made for calligraphy, for Asian calligraphy work, and I knew people were going to paint with them, but that's not what they were designed for. They were designed for language and style and beautiful Japanese art and Chinese art, and so what I use them for is a little more, just a tad more raucous, you could say. So excuse me one second here. Excuse me. I appreciate all the home remedies, but maybe if I were a drinker, this would be hot toddy time right now, but I'm not. So, and it's nothing against those that do. It's just I don't like the taste of it. I love tea. I don't drink any ice in my drinks, even Cokes. If I have a Coke, I just say, give me one in the bottle and don't chill it. Ah, that's better. Okay, here we go. Little music and let's paint something this morning. The wrench didn't die. This isn't a crime scene. Ned Henslin, thank you from Bird Island. Yeah, don't you know what I'm talking about? You know where you chalk the little things on the board and you put the wrench right back into it? I can see this wrench was laying this way when you finished with it, and it apparently has some axle grease on it, so you must have been taking apart the tractor. That'd be a good little movie, wouldn't it? Carol Todd Mundy. Me. All right. Get out the blue tape and tape the blue barrel. Here we go. Let me put a little music on and let me paint something for you. Completely different concept to painting this morning. What? Nah, not really. I'm just going to draw a head of a roo here, just like this. Start with this beak right here. Oh, that's kind of a cool looking working man's rooster beak right there. And then maybe just a little bit of a, there we go. I like that. Come in right there, and then I'm gonna stop, and then I'm gonna go right here. Just take a wild shot. Where should the leg be? I'm thinking he's got a leg probably about right here. You're kidding me. How can you do this? I don't know. Let's just see if it works. And then let's see if there's a leg that comes down about right here. I just thought of this morning. I thought, why don't you just do a paint? It looks like I might have gone this way just a little too far, but let's give it a shot and see what happens. I'll do it twice if I have to. This is Kilimanjaro Paper. It's 140 pound, beautiful watercolor paper, bright white. I think some of you know by now, as I get ready to do classes again, you can paint with any paper you want. You can paint hot press, cold press. Remember, cold press is paper that's just been rolled coal. Hot press, it's hot, and it's like when you've had your shirt pressed, and it has a nice little seam on it here. Ooh, look at that. I do my own ironing. I think some of you know my parents were in the iron and steel business. My mother would iron and my father would steel. Boom, I'll be here all day. Okay. All right, so there's my rooster, and now I got to do is fill in these other parts. That ought to be easy enough. So I'm just going to grab some water. Let me move some pins over, just for fun. I'm in one of those moods today. So Tuesdays, this is sort of my parting rooster swan song. I'm not gonna for the probably next year anyway. I don't think, unless I'm on the road and I just have to pop up, which I do from time to time. I don't think I'm going to paint on Tuesday mornings unless something really changes and there's an outcry from the people on my classes, but Tuesday morning is going to be held for Good News Roo, at least 3 times a month. And then once a month, that deep Roo class of 90 minutes where we're going to dig in. And I'm gonna, even every now and then, you're going to be able to go to Patreon and click on a file and download a file that we might be painting the same thing. And so that'll be fun to do, but also just some ideas, tools, and my philosophy on loose watercolor style painting, pushing you to be a better artist. You can find out information on that on Patreon. So, and on my side of Patreon, so we'll go there. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna drop some water on here, like so. Just throw some on, splatter it around. This is gonna be a real loose painting. You can't really see where, you can. Yeah, you can see that glow in there? That's kind of where it all went. I'm gonna go over here and get myself some ultramarine blue. I'm using a JB100 Yasutoma brush, and now I'm just gonna throw some of that paint down here and let it start to fly in there. I think I got enough room here. I was afraid I'd gotten my legs over here too much. So now I'm just going to tie all this together. And I think that's going to be a fun way for this painting to happen. Might even grab this right here and just kind of give it a little blow. Oh, that looks good. Okay. You want to know how to be loose? Well, just start that way. Just say, oh my gosh, we sometimes in life, like, and now you know where I was going with the ridge story, right? And you thought, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Sometimes we line everything off and we think that everything we do has to be within the framework of those lines. Where is that in life? Where's that written out that life's going to go exactly the way you thought it would? If you've got one of those lives that's gone exactly the way that everything is just marked and then it lines up and toes that line, well, apparently you haven't lived long enough, because that's not how life works. It comes at you. It will eat your lunch and hand you back a crumpled bag. But that doesn't mean you lose hope. People come, people go. We have a short life here. And so if we're always just trying to stay within that little box, then we just get boxed in and we get locked in. We had this long conversation with friends the other day who said, it sounds like during COVID, you and Carol traveled. And we went, well, we did. I would rather be arrested outside my house for traveling than I would inside my house for the fear of going anywhere. And so we did. We both got COVID? Yeah. We both lived through it. Some people didn't. I get it. But you just can't, life is too short to just be bound in all the time. And so I'm just kind of going by that road right now. And it works for me a little bit. And maybe I'll change sometimes. Maybe I won't. I don't know. A little yellow, a little orange kind of coming in, just blowing some of these colors in here. Look, I stayed in the lines almost right there on his, but I drew that with a pen. I wanted some definition, so I did the head and the legs. The rest of it, I just kind of let fly in there. Love the fact that this is just happening up here. A little more orange. Maybe I could just come in and splatter some of the orange like that from that brush. This brush, by the way, you're not going to find this brush anymore, so that's not fair to you. If you can find a number 3 or a number 4 Yasutoma brush, a bamboo, you're going to do great. That's about the same size as this one right here. This is a little shorter handle. You know the story of this brush. I've told it several times on the show. It was created by a Japanese family. They've been creating this brush since the late 50s. And during COVID, okay, a sad note to that, 6 of the family members passed. And so Yasutoma is trying to find a maker for this brush somewhere else in Japan. They're working on it now because this brush has been such a popular brush. I just lucked out and was given one in a demo situation and loved the fact that it came to me. And so I think this rooster needs some green, and I want to get a little bit of green on this brush here. I think, can you see my colors over here? I've kind of hidden one by my big old fat head. There it is right there. And then just kind of come in here and bounce this green in there like that and just let it sort of tie in. I always like to have a little dark in the bottom of the, someone who used some earthen green or gold green. There it is. Oh, that's a good color. A little green gold, I think is what Cheap Joe's calls it. And so pull that in just a little bit, maybe just a touch of red in the back of there. I don't know where that came from, but it fell in. I got to have some here. I'm going to come in now with this brush, and here's why I like those Yasutoma brushes in a kind of a I don't think I could paint to that. Here's why I like those bamboo brushes. When they're wet, they come back to their shape. That's why you don't stand them up on their end, but lay them down flat, or hang them up if you want to, then they really come back. A little red, I'm just rolling it in here. Can you see that? Yeah, look down here. I'm just rolling it into the red ink. I'm trying not to push it in like this. If you see your grandkids, your kids, if you find yourself getting your brush, if you're using this as a stirring spoon, no, use this as a beautiful tool. Stir your paint with something else. I don't even stir mine. I just let the water wake it up. Wake up! And then I reach down in there and just roll it gently when you're in there. I look like I'm goosing it, but I'm not. Hey, I'll just turn this around. This is so hard to paint. This is not. So I just turn it around and I'll pull these lines back to me this way. And so look, I'm just laying that point down and pulling them out. I'm not painting like this. I'm just doing it. These are stuff that we'll do in the class over and over again when people say, why does my rooster look like this? And I'll say, maybe you're making it look like that with your brush. Or why does the dog I'm painting? Let me tell you, Chris and Denise have really nailed this down in that when she's painting those coats on the dogs, and not goose down jackets, when she's painting that on the dog, they tend to, the hairs go in the way that the feathers would go, and that's what you want to learn to do. You want to learn to paint in that direction. I need a little bit of mixed color, so I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to get some gamboge over here, and I'm going to put it in this pan right here, a little gamboge. I'm going to wash out my brush. What is that? I don't know what that was, a piece of paper of some sort. All right, so I'm going to get a little bit of red and drop it in, just a tad of red. There it is. And then I'm going to wash my brush out again, clean brush, get some French gray, and then bring it over. And that's a good color right there that I like to paint the legs on my Roo. So I'm gonna just touch it. Oh yeah, I like that color. That's a little too pink, actually. I know that I say that I like it that much. So I'm gonna add a little bit of yellow to it. Yep, it was a little too pink. I know why, because I painted a shrimp the other morning out of that pan, and I mixed up a little bit of, I think I touched some white in there, made it a little too pink. All right, this is gonna fly though, I think. This is gonna work. Look at this. Pull some of this back. I think that we need a little bit of lamp black just in here to highlight this and show some contrast on this blue. Maybe right in there too. Oh yeah, that's gonna look good right there. A little black. Just touch a little bit, splatter in there. Look at this rooster. What I'll do is I'll just chop this off right here and make him just about a 9x9 little beautiful, bright, colorful Roo. I like it. We'll clean up around this beak just a little, and I'm going to do that with a pen by coming in with an Energel pen. I'm coming back in this way. That's kind of good. Do that. Come in here like this. I like before this dries to come in with my pen, if this pen would continue to write. So it's still a little wet to do that, but I'll come in. I'm going to do the same thing on his feet in just a minute. This is a Pentel 05 Energel pen, which is about to run out of ink. I think it may have. Let's see. Well, there's why it's not writing. It's out of ink. So what do you do now? Throw this part away. Save this part. I don't know if you've ever heard me say this before. You say, oh, my pen's out of ink. They're disposable. I'll just throw it. No, just unscrew the top. Throw this away. And then put this back in case you don't have any refills. What? They make refills for these pens? Well, of course they do, darling. Look. Here's some right here, some Energel refills. These are for the number 7s. In fact, there's just 2 left in there. But I'll keep those. So I don't see that I have another refill for the 7, but I do have a new number 5. There it is. 5mm needle tip Energel made by Pentel. Every now and then I go to a big box store. I go to CVS, that's not a big box store, Walmart Superstore, go to their children's department, go to their pen and pencil department, and just look to see if you see the word Pentel, and then look close and see if it says needle tip. If you like to sketch the way I like to sketch. I don't sketch with ballpoint pens, but needle tip pens, I love it. First call, boom, look at that. Still got the wax on the end right here. A little bit of wax right there. I just pull that off with my thumbnail and try to hit the trash can. Ta-da! And now I bet I can get some ink in here. Let's just make it right over here. Perfect. Okay. Whoa, does that make a difference? Okay, so same with his feet down here. I'm going to grab this brush and put a little more of my leg color right in here. Didn't do too well covering that up. There we go. Maybe just a touch of yellow on top of that. Oh, that's better. Dry that off a little bit. I'm liking this spot right here, but I'm going to turn it over and let it run back a little bit. There we go. Get up in there. Just a little bit of green fuzz and feather, a little bit of yellow right up here. Why? Well, because he's arguing with the fence post. His neck's bristled up there just a little bit. Has a little bit of a turn back right there. I think I need a spot of yellow right here. Yeah, that's going to be good right there. Okay. And so then maybe just take what's left in this brush and dash it in there like that. Give this one more minute. While this is drying a little bit, I'm going to come down here and give him a little piece of dirt to stand on. So I'm just going to come out like this, do some hatch marks across here, cross hatching, and then come back and just come at a little bit of an angle like this right here. I think that's going to be good. I'm going to just create a little more heavy mark coming back in the cross hatch this way. And then look, I'm doing some curves. You go, what's he doing? And the reason is because I want to show a little bit of that tail shadow. So he's out at midday, little damp brush, just kind of come in, start in here really light, come in here a little heavier, and then just follow these lines down. And I suddenly have myself the shadow that looks like it's underneath that bird. I'm going to throw a little bit of purple in there. I'm going to throw some green in there, just like this, create a little bit of earth. I like a little purple shadow that burns out sometimes. Should be over here just a little bit more. Whoa, there's some water paint in that brush. Okay, so there we go. Fun little rooster to just have. Look at this splash right here. Don't you just love that? It's like he exploded. I think that's kind of a fun look. This part right here is where the green and the blue and the yellow all ran together. I think it's a little much. Roll up a paper towel. I'm just going to go get it and pop it out. There. Now I don't have that dark spot that was sort of catching my eye. I want it to kind of sweep in this way. First thing is the tail, and then you move in and you see, wow, there's red up there too. So I got this great balance. I don't think I'm going to add any more splatters. Do you think I need to? No, I think I'm done. This is the pen that I took the refill out of. I'm going to drop it in my pen box. The bounce almost took it right in. Sorry I didn't have the camera on that. You would have gone, wow, that guy should have played basketball. No, he shouldn't have. Okay. All right. So what I wind up with here is a couple really damp paper towels. They'll dry out, but I'm going to reach and get a drier one. I'm going to move those over here. And I keep them for a while because I just, they look like art to me. Now I'm going to go in and grab, I'm going to grab a number 7. Here's a 5-pin tail. Here's a number 7. By the way, how do you buy 7s? I'll show you. Look, they get shipped in 2s. I found these at that illustrious potentate Harris Teeter. Yeah, Harris Teeter's grocery stores. They're back on that little scene where they're back in that little aisle with all the hardware, paper. Okay, so it's pintail. Look what I'm looking for. Needle tip. Got to find it on the thing. Don't buy it. Well, you can buy whatever you want. I don't buy them unless they say needle tip. Needle tip. I think it's hilarious that it says quick dry, no smear. That's not even close to right. Okay, but I saved these also because when they run out of ink, they unscrew a different way, and I put a refill in them if I find the refills. Where do you get those? I think I got those from Staples. I was in there one day and doing my thing with pens. You know what I do with pens, right? Somebody always wanders back, and usually it's some young man, some young woman in their 30s. They're salespeople, and they say, "Are you finding everything you're looking for?" And I'll go, "No, I'm not finding any Pentel Intergel needle tip pens." And they go, "Oh, I don't know what those are." And I said, "Well, I work here. I don't work here, and I know what they are." And so I'm the wise guy, and so they say, oh, is this what you're looking for? I said, no, it doesn't say needle tip. He says, oh, yeah, no, this is it. And I said, it doesn't say needle tip. And so I get them to start looking here, and then it'll say no smear, and I say this is archival, and I go, I don't want archival. I want something that smears and runs. And they go, So I wind up. Y'all have heard the story before. I wind up saying, let me open the pen and try it, and then I reach in my pocket and I get out my little water brush like this, and I'll take a piece of watercolor paper, which I've always got a piece like this in my other vest pocket, and so I'll make a mark on there. And I'll go, okay, let's see. So we got this little rooster here. We got this little, so the person's standing there watching me. And sometimes, I'll say, one of the things, right, if I don't like it, I'm not going to buy it. So might as well let me try it. And so I'll drop a little bit on. And then, I'll put this to it. And look, I'll go, look at the little bit of bleed on this. And the person always goes, oh my gosh, I didn't know our pens did that. Then they go, how come you have a paintbrush in your pocket? And I'll go, it's not only a paintbrush I have in my pocket, I have an Altoid box that's filled with paint. You want me to paint this for you? And then you can have it. And so I can pick this up, and then before I'm done, I've painted them a rooster. And so, and then guess what they let me do? Open any pen bag I want. Is that abusive? Maybe. It's just thinking like an artist, people. It's thinking like an artist. I like this painting. Let's put a little bit of grass down here on this. I think this is definitely, this is one of the roos that I'm going to label argued, prepare to argue with the fence post. That came from my mom, who would say to my brother, you would argue with the fence post. And I would say, and win. So there it is right there. So Roo right here, Roodoodles.com, M for Michael 22, and that's the year. So someday when I'm off this planet, people are going to go, what was that guy's name that was just a Looney Tune that we used to watch online? And somebody's going to say, I think his name was Roo, and he painted that. Oh, look, 22. That's when when he painted that. 22? What year was that? And so 22. All right, so there it is. I think I'm done. I think I need just a touch more blue right here. I said I was done, but I think I want a little bit on this side, just to balance this painting out, just like that. That's what I wanted. All right, that's a great roo right there. I like it. I like all the holidays in here. I like the fact that it had this and this done, and I just tied the rest of it together, but I didn't try to tie it together and fill up the whole thing. Remember, I'm not doing chalk outlines on the sidewalk. I'm not painting wrench outlines on my workbench. I'm letting this just go. You could never hang this up into an outline. It wouldn't fit. And I love that about it. All right. That's what I feel like I know how to do with loose art. And that's the way some of the class is going to be. And yet, you can do a honeybee this way. You can do a shrimp this way. You can do all the creatures that I choose to do this way. And so that makes a fun painting. All right, there we go. So, go say you would argue a black crow is white, Ruthville says. From all the way from Ireland, that's a funny statement. You would argue a black crow is white. I love that very much. Jack Wolfenbarger, good morning to you. Jean-Paul, I'm glad you were on the show this morning, buddy. Hope you're still having coffee or tea. Or every time we have a baguette in this house, we go, Carol will say, you want cheese on that and ham? And I'll say, yeah, but if JP were here, he'd be having butter only. I mean, you guys and your butter and ham sandwiches, but I love it. All right, man. As if anyone could forget you, Roo. Linda Sue Reagan, thanks. Michael, maybe you can make me a template to spray on my cake. Yeah, sure. I wouldn't want to eat a cake that had a rooster walking on it. I got the painting that's done like that, but that's funny, Linda Sue. Ruth Fulton, glad you're on from Ireland this morning. What do you mean no music today? Didn't you hear my music playing? Or was it some other music? My music quit playing? Did it just stop and I wasn't paying attention? Stephen Dockery's on the show today. Stephen, it's okay if you're late. It's so wonderful to get lost in the world of pens. Yeah, Jason, hold on. I'm going to show you a couple things that you'll love. I thought of you yesterday when my blue ink came in. All right, let me move this painting over and let it dry. I'm liking this painting. I'll probably come back in when it's dry and do just a little touch to the eye here. I do this for Terry Tardy. because she always says, I like it when you say, hey, I'll come back and do this, and you go like this, and you do it right then. Yeah, it happens sometimes. Like, I'll come back later and put these lines in the in the feathers. No, he's doing it now. I might forget later. All right. And okay, let me move this over. I got to show you something that let me just ask you this. When you see me do this and this, now that you've been watching me for a couple of years, and some of you are getting ready to move into a deeper painting classes with me, once a month, 90 minutes, we're going to drive down and we're going to talk about what happens when this happens. And my point is, when you see me do this, you know that there's some things that I'm going to be extremely consistent on. But there's going to be things that in that consistency, there's this major inconsistency. And so I recall you back to the story, if you haven't read it. It's called Consistently Inconsistent and Inconsistently Consistent. And that is part of my style. And you go, wait a minute, I'm always hopefully going to surprise you. That should be consistent. I'm always going to bring you something and think of it in a different way. That's thinking like an artist. That's the consistency that I think that my brain is wired with. But there's this inconsistency on how I may arrive at it. I could have started with the blue and then put the head in, but I want to scale things, so I start with the head and then say, the tail needs to be this big. Because if you draw a rooster that's different than that, you're going to surprise yourself and everybody else by being, well, you're not really consistent. You're just all over the place. When people see you do this, they think, it bothers me because he's so inconsistent. No, I'm kind of consistent in my inconsistency. And you're going like, he's just double speaking. Maybe so, but I'm just telling you, it sort of works that way. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'll just get another big piece of paper. This is Fluid 100 paper, and I might as well just waste a piece for fun here. But my point is this. If I draw this big old rooster head like this, and this little bitty body like this, if I'm drawing cartoons, it's comical. But you go, something is really wrong with this rooster. Now, he's a great character if I were doing a children's book, because he would be in search of his tail. Okay, so that works. But if I draw this rooster that has this massive tail and then this little bitty head, well, that's comical too. But if I'm putting out roosters that are not just about the roosters, and I can get by with it because I paint goofy stuff all the time in cartoons, but you just go, something's wrong. You want them to match just a little bit. So I start with the head, and then here, and then this, and then I look and I'll go, hey, I can already see the shape of this rooster that needs to be to scale. And so that makes him be more of a farm bard. I want him to not just be a comic character or the class clown. This is clown. And sometimes I do, but I want him to be the bard. I want him to make a statement that people get. And so it'd be easy for this Roo to say, hey, don't get the big head. It'd be easier for this one to go like, hey, you're showing your tail. And so you see, so I've got this little study that could work here. But I think part of it is what I try to do is I start that way. That's just how I've learned to start. Those of you who are drawing, you can't just draw the wings of the bee and then add the little body. You can do that to a butterfly, but you might want to see how big things are and you scale them together. And that's going to help you in your perspective. Jason could do a whole seminar on that, of perspective. And when he does his bridges, he's got to look at, if he's putting people in there, he can't put people bigger than if they're standing next to it, than the struts that hold up the bridge. So he's got to scale those people down. And so you do that by looking at things far, wide, in, out, get a concept. But I can do any of these because here's why. I've let my style lead me through a whimsical style that you go, he just paints things however he wants to. But they surprise us. That's the inconsistency, or that's the consistency that I'm surprising you. How I get there may be a little inconsistent. I may start here, I may start there, I may splash with this, I may just throw paint on there to just be throwing paint on there. And does it matter to anyone but me? I don't think so. I watched a concert last night on television for Adele. Oh my gosh, the woman is so brilliantly talented. I mean, just a God-given voice, and I hope she knows that's where it came from. But it's just remarkable. But she has a song that's called "I Drink Wine," and it's not what you really think. It really is about her life and her changing, and about how she's tired of living her life based on what everybody else thinks she should do, and it's really remarkable. And I marked it on my Spotify to listen to it again today. And I'm going to sit and have a cup of tea shortly when I'm done this morning. I'm going to listen to that song again, because it reminds me that sometimes we think we have to paint to please what everybody else wants. And this is sometimes why I don't do a lot of commission paintings. People say, "Oh, we want you to do this." And then I'll go, "They have a vision for it." And I'm thinking, "You have a vision for it, you should do it." It's what makes producing a film so hard. When someone says, "Hey, we want you to do this film, and here's the 8 things that we want. We want you to do this." I'm saying, like, you should be directing it. You see it. I want to tell the story the best way that I think it grabs the heart and the head and it pulls them together. You have all these concepts, so you should produce it. And so I would love to produce it, because I'd like to take your cash, because this is what I do. I produce. But sometimes when you're working with watercolor painting, people want you so much to do their vision. And that's why it's very hard to do. It's very hard to illustrate. Some of you are doing this, but it's very hard to illustrate other people's books. People will call me and they'll say, "Hey, would you illustrate a book? I've written this great children's book." And I'm going like, "I'm glad you think it's great, because I think mine are great too. It's just that nobody buys them yet, because they don't know who I am." And so if you have a community, great. But you should illustrate it yourself, because you see the pictures that went with the words you wrote. That's the push that I'll do this year, about you painting more, about you sharing more of your art, and about you selling your art. And that's where we'll go deep dive on Route 857 once a month in the painting classes. All right. So does that help you a little bit? Just give you a little bit of, I don't know if it helps you or hurts you, but this is an easy block. That means that this is only glued down on the top and the bottom. The ends are free. Okay. This is a hard glued block. It means it's glued down all the way around except for a little spot right up here in the middle. So I can take this tool, a credit card, a pocket knife, or if you have long fingernails, which good luck. Mine have tractor grease where I've been painting and chalk dust where I've been painting little wrench symbols on my workbench. Not really. So then once this is dry, I just slide this around like this and slip it off, and there's that single page that can go down. I'll trim this here, and I'll put a caption on it. I'll put him in the auction. I got an auction coming up soon. He's good. He's a good bird. I like this paper. This is Kilimanjaro, beautiful paper, bright white. I'm going to lay it right here. And then this one here is an easy block, remember? So both ends are open. So I can, all this is glued, all this is glued. And sometimes, by the way, if you're using Fluid 100 paper, they use a different glue than Kilimanjaro, okay? And sometimes it'll hold on and might even cause the paper to rip. So be careful when you take this off. I put this little tool in there, and then I press down like this right here. Put the tool in, and I press downward, and I slide it along the edge like this. I know this sounds silly. Some people go, "Oh, I mean, just rip that off there." So if you try to rip it off now, resist the temptation, and slide your tool back under there until it goes down like this, and then it frees it up. And there it is right there, okay? All right. So this guy goes down the bunny trail. He's just a sample piece. But we can paint on the back of him right there. Yesterday I painted that lobster, and I saw some of your lobsters painted. They were fabulous. And that reminded me, while I was sitting here on the phone yesterday, I painted another little one on a little card, and there it is right there. See the little squiggles in that thing? That's kind of fun. And there's a lot of looseness in here. So basically, while you're just sitting there doodling, you just start to make little lines and you connect them like this. And some of you had a couple of lobsters painted that were just a little short and stubby. I think 4 or 5, maybe 6 of the little pieces, and their legs should really start right up in here and come out like this, and their legs are segmented. So you better get Tom online if you want to paint lobsters. That brother is amazing at painting lobsters. And then of course the shoulder comes out like this. And this part hinges back, and you can do that right there where that hinges, and same with this one here. Kind of come around, and then there's this big old, and so that gives you a little idea how fast this can happen. I did have this other pen. Is this the blue one? This might be the blue one, but it may be that I'm not. There was still black left in the pen, so I don't think I've gotten to the blue yet. Anyway, it'll give you a little idea of just how fast that lobster can come together. Big old brush and a pen that's still got this Kakuno pen, and so there it is right there. Maybe just a little blue in there now just to kind of touch him up. And so then you can use that pen to just pull some of that blue ink out to the outside. Needs a little bit of orange in it. This brush is way too big to do this with, but I'm just doing it because I want to show you that if it's all you got, and you can do it. All right, so that gives you a little idea. Hey, a couple things about ink and pens. Top of the morning to you. There's I can put that up there. All right. So Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle is the book, Consistently Inconsistent. It's a whole story about, I was actually working with a children's ministry at the time, and people would come and visit, and they'll go, we don't understand. You've got this stage where there's tools and everything's piled up, and you have actors and builders and singers and tech and video, and yours seems so chaotic all over the place. And I'll go, yes, that seems inconsistent. But if you want to go down behind the scenes, you're going to see that the consistency is that every time we use all of this paraphernalia, all this stuff, to bring things to a point that are very consistent with who we are and what we say and what we believe. I'll use every tool I've got to get myself to a storytelling character, a whimsical character to tell a story, to communicate something, to make your kitchen laugh, to make you laugh in your kitchen, to make people who come to your house laugh in your kitchen, or to grab life, to say, ooh, that's powerful, that's important, I like that, I want to keep that, that's my connection. I just could not, in my own personal life, and this is what comes out in the classes, paint a flower just to be a flower. I wanted to paint a flower that was in a field that I saw in France with Jean Paul, in the side of a wall. You know, when I was with Jean Paul and he was with me in France, and Carol and I were over there, I carried one of these journals around. And so Jean Paul, just 2 weeks ago, I told someone this story right here, this very story. Here it is in my journal. I told someone this story. We were in Ardon. You have to say it like you're a pirate. Ardon. We were there. We had just had some bread for breakfast. Of course, why not, right? At the boulangerie. And we had gone down, and you had taken us to the bay. And we're looking out over the bay, and we're seeing all those beautiful red sails. And in the wall, in the rock wall, was a little flower. And there it is right there. There's a little daisy that had just broken through, and there's a little dirt in the wall. How did that seed get up there? A bird probably laid it up there, had it on its foot or whatever. But this is where the man was struggling to get the boat out of the harbor that morning. It was cool. We both had on vests, and it was chilly. We were there in the cold part of, it was cold that time, southern France. And this man was struggling, and you were down the road a piece, and I couldn't speak French, and I was going like, throw me the rope and I'll help you. And he goes, nah, I go, throw me the rope, give me the rope, And finally I'm going like this. So he finally gives me the rope, and I start pulling. You came over. We helped him get his boat before the winds came in, and it was a ramshackled homemade boat that he was taking in for repairs. We helped him pull it up the ramp and load it on his trailer. The point is that we're walking on down to look at all the other bay, and his mother runs out. And she has this jar of apple jelly in her hand. We didn't know. And she's saying, thank you to us in France for helping my son. So I said, helping a man in a jam was worth a gift of jelly. And she gave us that jar of jelly. So there's my sketch. And so Jean-Paul, you were with me when I sketched that. And this is, I brought this up because I want to show you something that was on my mind this morning. Well, I didn't bring this fridge story up because Jean-Paul grew up not far from Montmartre. So he took us to his home place when he was a child. and it was just down the street a little bit from Momart. And great stories to be there with someone who loved the country and loves the food. But what that brought me to was this. I want to show you this little video again. Ruth Fulton, let's see. What we can do is I don't know if Amazon will ship you the book to Ireland. If not, try that. Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle on Amazon.com. If they don't ship it to Ireland, they do ship to Canada, because I just sent Pat a note yesterday. One of those book sales was international. If they don't ship to Ireland, then send me a note, and we'll see that if I can find you one and ship it to. In fact, this is a damaged copy here. Has a fold in it. It's the one I use on the desk. It's the one that I use to just talk about it sometimes, but I don't have any here, but I'll send you this one, okay? Pat and I would love to have you one and ship it to Ireland. So send me a note, and I'll get the postage paid on it somehow and get it to me. So there, what a giveaway today to Ruth. Ruth, you're in Ireland, so do me a favor. Just send me a cotton picking address. And is it one of those fun addresses? Do you have by the cottage, by the broken down wheel, by the sourwood tree? Just give me one of those addresses by the gate, and I'll send it to you. Okay. Remind me that I said that. Okay. Resources, where learn to make one. I'm not sure what y'all are talking about. A folding journal today. Yeah, you know what, Gracie? This is not a folding journal that I made. I don't have the patience to make my own journal. I guess you could buy the paper and fold it all together and do it and put it in a book. But this is made by Moleskine, Moleskine. It's It's about 12 feet long. It's about 40 something pages, and so. I bought this one, and you might think it's a little expensive. It's like $16. It comes like this in a wrapper, and here's one unwrapped. I keep them here because who knows, at any time. They're made by Moleskine, and it says Japanese album on it. There it is right there. And this one's $16.99, and I think it came from no, this one probably came from a art store, but I think you can order it for $14 to $16 on Amazon. But make sure it says Japanese album, and make sure it has this indigo cover on it. It's 48 concertina folded pages, 165. It's 111-pound paper. It has an inner pocket inside like this, fun little pocket down in here, which I never put anything in, but yeah, I do every now and then. There's a little note, and so I'll get ready to take this. This one is for, I think, Jekyll Island. And so Jekyll Island, what's he saying? Here, watch this. This, of course, is St. Augustine, but I'm getting ready to. There's Jekyll. Believe it or not, 20 years ago, I used to come here and literally put on my whites and play croquet right here. This is an international croquet course. I'm whispering because that's what you do when you're at professional golf tournaments and croquet, and you clap like you have jelly on your hand and you don't want to get it stuck to the other hand. So there's serious rolls here, and you have to play with a drink in your hand. Oh, that was a pretty sorry shot right there. Take a look here. Just some fun things. This little round room is right off the Pulitzer room. The Pulitzer room was where the first phone call was made, transatlantic phone call was made. In that room was J.P. Morgan, Alexander Graham Bell. All those guys were there. This is Millionaire Row of all these. Firestone Mansion is there, and I think then it was $1 Million Row. No, how many millions is worth today? But Great little gardens. So the reason I'm showing you this now, this lovely little chapel in the rain, Carol always walking under the trees, and her hands are getting wet. She's hiding her phone in her purse. And hey, frogs and people are waterproof. And then we take it out by the beach, and we did some sketching there. And then we went, of course, we went to Driftwood Island. It's not island, it's Driftwood Cove. And it's right on the other end of the island. Here it is here. And so this is a great place to sketch. They can drop us off there. So the reason I'm telling you this is because I honestly believe that maybe in the fall, instead of going to Maine first because of its distance and because of its distance and because of the getting around is so difficult and so many different little places of parking and staying and hiking, I think this is going to be the great place that I would rather do the first journal, to just sort of try it out, test the wheels, you know. And so I think this is what I'm going to try to do first. This was a painting that I did at dinner one night and gave it to some folks who were watching us doodle and talk. And so that's a little piece on Jekyll Island. And I think what we're probably going to do is take a travel journal. You don't have to do this. You can journal in anything you want. I just like having this because when my trip is over, I have this story, this journal, this concept that's gone all the way through. This was the one I did, last year at Maine, and we flew from Charlotte to Portland, Kennebunkport. Here it was. The first time I'd seen this was about a 900-pound tuna that they brought in. It was 900 and a couple pounds. And then for our first dinner, and then the boulangerie. And so, just it goes on and on and on. The crows in the Bahaba and the island and so really when you pull this out, it's about 12 feet long. I love the fact that in Maine, I think of this every day. I was walking across the street yesterday where I had a meeting and there was people were supposed to stop and let the pedestrians cross, and they did not. And I went, apparently you haven't been to Maine, because there's at the corners of every street where you're crossing, it says stop, wait, and then wave. And so they literally let all pedestrians cross. So I loved it very much. And then of course, this is the lighthouse that George Washington commissioned in 1790. It's still working today. And on the back of the page, on the back of the book, there's a huge lobster going into the trap, which is here. And that looks like this. It says, run for it, Carol is coming to Maine. I think I painted 50 lobsters, and I think she ate 50. But this is what I use, and it's a little expensive, but look how thin it is, and it's already done. I don't have to worry with big paper or loose paper or gluing paper over and over. It's already done. It's just printed that way. I loved it. This was Monet's garden here, and this goes on and on and on. So it gives me a chance to write. It's easy to hold in one hand. Sometimes I'll pencil sketch where I am. Sometimes I'll just take my little paints that, I carry here, this one or this one. And so I'll just touch something as I go to remember what color it was, and then I'll sip my coffee. So the thing about France, or the thing about these trips is we go and we sit down for a few minutes, and I'll go, we got some snacks, and we're having tea and coffee and drinks. And the whole point is you sketch something that you see. It may be just a beach scene. And then from there, it may be a tree limb with some Spanish moss, and you throw it in and you do some pencil sketches. And then you have some time to go and be on your own. You find some other things, and then you sit down at the end of the day after a nice dinner and you say, I want to put all that together and bring the colors in it that I saw. Maybe use your cell phone to pick up some of that. So you just say, these are all the things that I ate. Eat fresh, eat in season, eat small plates, eat foods from your area, and eat with your friends. And so that was my reflection of this. Meal is honey in French. And so this was Saint Nectar, Nectari, I think. And I put the sock next to it because they called it stinky cheese, but to me, I just soon eat a sock. So that was my favorite, but I wanted it. Here's some oysters, and here's Carol on the monoliths doing her splits. Yaya splits the globe. There's the Eiffel Tower on the back. And so that's the journals that I want to do with Roodoodles. What do you have to carry? A simple shoulder bag, a bug out bag. I keep my bug out bag with me. You know what that is, right? It's It's this bag right here. I've got some of these left. I keep it in there. There's little pieces of paper in there. By the way, this journal fits in this bag. Oh my gosh, look at that. This journal fits right in this bag. I've got my pens in there. I've got two brushes. I've got my Pentel pens. I've got a pencil. I've got my extra little paints. I've got a couple water brushes, Niji water brushes. They're all in there ready to go. I've got extra ink that I carry with me. And that's what all this is here today that I just wanted to show you. This is just a box that carries ink. This is ink for my big pen, which is Speedball ink. This is ink for my Lamy pen. Look, I just know what they are. That one's one. This is ink for my Preppy pens. They have a little steel ball in the end of them. And this is the ink. Whoops, here's the ink that, now I'm going to load this one here. It gets a couple more of these in. The black, put 3 of those in there, and that'll keep me on any trip for a while. That fits the Kakuno. So I just keep a little tin like this. It goes down in my bag. I am done, ready to go. And I've got all this extra ink if I want to sketch, if I want to. So that way I don't ever worry, oh, I'm afraid of worrying out ink today. I'll write with this, write with that. I'm that guy who may not outline his wrenches, but my art stuff is all together where I can put my hands on it and paint with it and move pretty quickly when I need to. So you will be a collectic of just stuff, and you'll have more than you need. But when you're getting ready to take a trip, you pick the top 3 brushes you want, 2 water brushes, maybe a Yasutoma brush, and you just say, go. I don't need my whole studio. I need to use whatever I have and be creative with what you have. That's in the book, Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle. Also, you can get to that pretty easily. So that's the book again. Take a look at it. Hey, it's $16.99. Big deal if you're going to come home from a trip and remember it for years and pass it on to family and friends. It is more fun to look at this some evenings over a French baguette and remember. Look, I'm going to show you something that I remember immediately. This is a little bronze statue painting right here of Thomas Jefferson. What's Thomas Jefferson doing on the Seine? Why does he have a statue there? They loved him. He was an ambassador to France, and he went there. He fell in love with Monticello. What? And he came home and redesigned the roof of Monticello like the roof he had seen in Paris. Fascinating story to all this. Fascinating story to the oldest paint store since not the oldest, but since 1887. Because the oldest one is Charvin, which is 1830. This is from France. But Sennelier with beautiful paints and oils and just the smell of that place when we went in. Monet's Garden and my quick pass through there. My attempt with watercolors and a pen. Look, I'm just scribbling. There's no pencil in here. I'm just scribbling. And I'm doing this bridge and I'm laying these out and I'm sitting there while people are walking around the garden and I'm just doing this. I'm not trying to impress anyone. I'm not trying to win any awards. I'm just trying to remember what I'm seeing at the time in the reflections. And then as we walked up by the house, there were 2 chickens flipping dust up, and I remember that. And then we went in and we saw the underneath here was there was a picture of Monet, and then the next stop for us was Montmartre back in Paris. And so we walked this. There's my friend JP who's on the show this morning. You know what it says? JP, I don't know if you knew you were in my journal. You walked into the church and you said, our friend lit a candle in remembrance of his mom that morning. And there you are, just a quick little sketch. We bought a painting from this lady right here, and it's hanging downstairs. We paid a lot for it. It's only 8 by 8, but we watched her stand there and work on it and go, we want this. A lot of blue things. An evening in Paris. We walked by Moulin Rouge, the windmill. Paris, a bit of a cafe. You visit a bit, you sip a bit. Who's in a hurry? Why do we hurry? Walk a bit, find a croissant, talk a bit. Iron sharpens iron. And then there's that page. And then here's the Vons as the market and the places we went. I love the detail on this door handle. These are not great sketches, folks, but to me, they're fabulous because they remind me of everything I saw. All the blue, the French blue, except for the snail. I just made that up. He didn't have a blue shell, but he did for my paintings and the food. Okay, so when that's pulled out, of course, so I want to do that with some folks in. All right, I got to get out of here. All right, I'll drip back through this. And then let's see, if you're going to make a journal, you know what? Make a journal. I would rather be sketching than gluing paper together, but some of you are so good at crafts and what you do. Make it. And then it'll even be double special. I made this journal and I traveled with it. So there'll be information on that. Okay, so here's the wrap up. This is my last Tuesday as a normal Facebook Tuesday morning, because starting next week, even though it's not into April, which my classes are going to start, I'm going to do a trial run, a sample run for all the people who are in Patreon. What's it cost? It costs $11.57 every month. And you get a 90-minute class once a month. You also get the weekly, if you want to be a part of the weekly Good News Rue thing. Several of you have already sent me emails on that, where we'll be delving into the book of Matthew. And I'm just going to read a story. I've been journaling through the Bible this year, and so it's been great for my art. It's been great for my heart. Okay, so there's my tagline right there. Great for the art, great for the heart. So I've been doing that, and it's been a great way for me. And they're legacy pieces to pass on that may inspire somebody else. The other thing is, once a quarter, I'll be coming on and doing a special interview show. And so all that's for the Patreon 1157. There's a couple people that bought in at a higher level just because it's the same thing. They just said, hey, Rue, we'll support you in what you do. I'm grateful for that. It gives me a little white space to think and plan and be ready. And so that's why there's a fee attached. All right. Simple as that. I'm not apologizing for it. I read it right there. A worker's worth his wages. And so I've been bringing it on. This is my third year to be with you guys. You are an awesome community. I love how you share your art. I love sharing my art. I love sharing what I know. And you got me here. So thank you so much. I'm grateful. So Mondays, Saturdays for now, and then I think pretty soon, a Friday night auction is coming up. In fact, maybe real soon. So I'll keep you posted on Facebook here and break in and do that. I got to go send a note out to Grit. My Grit magazine came in yesterday, and so there it is. The Rue, I think I posted it on Facebook already. Love Grit, love what they do. I just had to send them the next month's issue because they are cranking it out. They're catching back up after COVID. And so they're going like, okay, paint about this. And I'm going like, what? So it's always fun to work with them. All right, here's the painting from this morning. I'm going to put him in the auction. I think he may be arguing with the crow, arguing with the fence post. Not sure. I'll just do a little play on that. I love how it turned out, though. This is great, really brisk blue. And there's a lot. Look at all the holidays in there. It looks like a world map a little bit, doesn't it? I like it. All right. I'm out of here like a herd of turtles. I need to learn to sketch faster. Well, that's what you do. That's why that journal is so good. You said, hey, our tram is going to be here to pick us up in 5 minutes. If you don't have that stump sketch, you better sketch it right now. Get with it. All right, that'll do it. All right, people, blessings to you. Mickey Perkins, hello. Renee Keys, hello. Pat Thompson, yeah, I'm seeing you now. Thank you for being on the show. Lisa May, thank you for being here. Jennifer Thistle, I see you. All right, I'm out of here. I got to grab my harmonica because I have to play off with a little music here. Linda says it's been a pleasure to spend Tuesday mornings with you. Thank you very much. I'll see you Saturday, Lord willing. I'm here. And some people see me on Patreon, and I'll be doing a couple samples of that. There's already some information out there. If you've already purchased, even though they haven't billed you yet, if you've already purchased that, there are already some videos on there about your space and tools and all those things. And so I've been pumping stuff out there. I'll do a sample run through YouTube. It's an unlisted link that you get the link to. Click on it, follow it. It'll take you there. You can post on that page also, kind of like you can Facebook. And it'll be more of the same, longer of the same, but deeper, and I'll be answering questions like, how do I do that, or where can I get that, or who can we find to do that? So that's kind of stuff we'll do in our class. Thank you for trusting me. All right, I'm out of here. Go to Patreon and look up Michael Hahn. Yeah, you can do that, or there'll be a link on this Facebook page. As soon as I end this show, it'll say, Patreon, and you can go there.